Hi everyone. I just wanted to do a quick video on how you can look at the data that we got from CICME. So when you're looking at this data, this is the zip file which I posted on the Canvas website, and it's also available from the email that I sent you out. So once you click on this zip file, depending on what you have for unzipping software, I have WinRAR, which works. Um, But essentially what you're doing is extracting this whole folder um, onto a folder on your computer, and then you can take a look at what you have. So I'm going to exit out of this and then show you once I've unzipped the file. Here's the data that what it looks like. So you have essentially, you won't see that shipping log, that first folder up top, but everything else you'll be looking at, and let me just quickly go over what each one is. So the SQL, the first one, ABC, INC, now December, that's the data in a SQL format. Now you won't be needing that one because you already have the data in a different format, which I'll talk about, but you don't need that one. The next one is an AutoCAD file which you can import into Visio, so you can work with that. The east map, let me just open that up, is a layout of the facility on the eastern seaboard, and it is an Excel sheet, which is actually quite intriguing that they've sent us a Excel sheet. But what they've done is they've shaded the document so that it is in the form of an Excel sheet. So that is interesting. Anyway, so you have this whole document right here, and the best bet for you is to print this document out and label this, so how the flows are going for your product flow. So what I'll recommend you do is you copy everything. Let me see. You select as much as of it as you can, and then when you're getting ready to print this, you go Control P or print. And so that's my printer at home. What you're essentially doing is you would want to have portrait orientation because it's top to down, and you would want to print the selection. So what that does is it selects the whole facility top to down, and then you want to fit it to one page, and then you can print. I'll tell you that it comes out much better in color, and you may actually have to zoom in after you printed it out. You may have to zoom in to see what are some of the things that are labeled already on this document. So that's a quick way of getting this on paper. Okay, so that is your layout for the Eastern Seaboard facility, and then it gives you details about pellets, what each one is, and so on. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. The other is your file instruction. So this document will give you what each file is talking about, what is in that one, and so on. So I'll wait for it to open up. So it'll essentially show you the file, store landing sequence, so store loading sequence, I'm sorry. It shows you how the different stores are loaded on each truck. So that's what west map, east map, the AutoCAD. The only difference between the Excel and the AutoCAD file is the AutoCAD file will give you dimensions, while the Excel sheets, they will give you the layout and give you a sense of what's going on, but they won't give you the dimensions of the different sections in the warehouse. The file parameters and rates gives you how much each operation takes. So for example, picking operation, you have different motions and so on. How long does each one take? So that gives you a sense of the times for each of the picking sequences, that specific piece. So that's your file description. Let me get that out of the way. The MHDCC, the new item master, and I'll talk about this later on, but this is a list of all the SKUs, their length, width, and height. So it's the item ID, item length, item width, item height, and item weight in pounds. And then how many cases you have in one case, and then the quantity um, in essentially that one case. So I'll show you this later on. So let me get it out of the way. Here's the parameters and rates that we're talking about. So this will give you if they're getting a label, how many seconds, and so on. And it gives you the different picking options and how long it takes you to do in the fold picking option. So you're comparing the tower, the aisle, the RF with print and apply, and the voice pick. So you have the 4 options, and now it is giving you the times as and which option you would go with once you've done your data analysis. So that's that one. Let me get that out of the way as well. The shipping log, I don't think you need that because I'll talk about that in a moment. This is a file which I created, so you won't see this one. You have shipping log.txt. Now this is again a zip file. This is has the text file opened up once you unzip it. So once you unzip, you will see this shipping.log, and this is a 333 megabyte file, almost that much. And it took me about 6 minutes to open this file up since it's so huge in Notepad. So this is what it looks like opened up. So you'll see it has the headers and it has the data, and I'll show you what you can do with this data. Now, as I said in my email, that you will need to import this data into Access because Excel only does 1 million records. So the best way for you to analyze this data is to use Access, and I'll show you how to get this into Access. Okay, so let me get that out of the way, and going back, you have the store loading sequence. So this shows you the weekday number, what's the day of the week, and then with store ID is put when on which truck. So these are all the these are all the store numbers for the east facility, and then you have the west facility, and you have the west map. So the west map is the same as east map but different. And again, when you're printing this out, use the same method that I talked about when I was showing you the east map. Okay, let me get that out of the way. So once you have the shipping log all made out, let me do this. Let me delete that shipping log. It's almost 1.26 gigabytes, so huge amount of file. So once you open Access up, in Access go to a blank database, and what you're trying to do is get to data from an external source. So click on database tools, external data, and then click on the text file. Once you click on the text file, it'll give you this saying where do you need to get the data from. And then once you get the data from, where do you need to put it? So we're going to put it in a new table, and the source of the data is the text file, the shipping log. Remember the one that I showed you, the shipping log.txt. This is your unzipped file or text file, and then you click on that, hit OK. So it will set up a wizard. So now you're seeing this file. What you're trying to do is get the data in a format in which you can process it into your Access file. Hit next, and now you can see that Access automatically found out that the distance between 2 consecutive data points is a tab. If you had a semicolon, you can do that. Some cases you may have a comma, and now you can put in the first row contains your header fields. So that's good. Now there's a problem with the date format. The date is year, month, and day. So now what you need to do is go to Advanced, click on the date field, and select YMD. Okay, and then in the date delimiter, you see how the date has a hyphen. So make sure that you put hyphen in there so that Access, when it is importing it in, it knows that okay, there's a hyphen instead of a slash or a backslash, and so on. And then you can keep everything, the rest of the things same, and then you're saying it's a 4-digit years that's there, which is true, and there's no leading zero in date, so that means that it's right away the same thing. Hit OK. Next. Now this is where you can put each and every field in which you can see what it is. I'll stick with the defaults at this point. Hit next, and let Access add a new primary key. So I would suggest you would do that, because if you choose your own primary key, you don't know if there's one which is unique or I don't know. So there's nothing that you can find out it's unique. So let access at a primary key, hit next and finish, and this process should take you maybe a couple of minutes because now you're dealing with almost 6.2 million records. But I'll wait for this to finish up. So let me talk about something else while this is finishing up. Oops, too much for my computer handle, I guess. So let me go back to this right here. Another thing that helps is when I was talking about is the new item master. You remember that file? This is all the SKUs listed out with their length, width, and height, and then it also has the weight in that. So let me show you how that looks like. So that's what it looks like. So let me close that. Now this only has 32,000 fields. Now you can import this into Access the same way I did for the shipping log file, or you can import it into Excel and use it there. Since it only has 32,000, I'll leave that completely to you. Even though I'll say that it'll make more sense that you get it in Excel. I'm sorry, Access, because now you can link the two tables together. Anyways, so let me just go back one, and I can quickly show you what I've already done. I've imported that data into Excel, and this is the sheet. So you have item ID, you have the length, width, height, item weight, the cubic inches, the volume in cubic inches. Now this wasn't given, so I actually calculated that. I multiplied the length by the width by the height to get to the cubic inches, and then I dragged that all the way. If I just go to the end, you can see there's 32,170 rows of data. Excuse me. And then this is given to you as well, full case quantity. And then I calculated this one, in which I said, okay, I multiply the volume of each by the case, and that gives me this. Now I've done another thing in this one. Is you see this 1.05, I've added 5% to the overall volume, because you have these each pieces which are inside a carton. The carton adds about 5% more to the volume, and that's why you see that. And then so that's your case volume, and then here's your case volume in cubic feet. So what I've done is taken the cubic inches and divided that by 1728 to get my volume in cubic feet. Now you might be asking how I got this base data, which let me just highlight which ones I'm talking about. That one, and I think that one. So those, the ones that I've highlighted, were in the original text file. So how I got them in to Excel is, again, I went to data. Now let me go to sheet number 2. I went to data, and then I had from text. So I'm getting the data from text. And again, there's so much running on my computer that it is almost choking at this point. So bear with me just a bit. Okay, come on. There you go. Okay, so I'll just browse to my CICMHE design files, the data, and I'm looking at this master sheet, that text file. And then again, it's the same process. You have delimited. Okay, hit next. It shows you tab is separating the data in that text file. Hit next, and then it's all good. And once I hit finish, where do you need to put it in? Just check the properties. Preserve. That looks good. Hit OK. And there you see that data was automatically pulled into Excel. The same process for Access and this one, but essentially you can work with this now to do different things. Now, as I said, these item IDs will be matched up. Oh, that's done now. So let's open that up. So you'll see the SKU ID, I think. So you link up the SKU IDs here in this column with the SKU IDs in right here, the item ID. Okay, yeah. So now so you can get it in here and then link that field with the other field, make that as a primary field. So this is your child and that's your parent. But now you see the date format came out pretty good. This is the order number, how much quantity. If it's a split case, that means if they picked it up as eaches, or a whole case. If it's false, that means they picked it up as a full. And then you'll see the location on here, and you can see that this is 6.2 million. And now it is also showing you which was the pick location. So now you can see pick locations. Now it's, if you see pick locations, what that really means is it is each picking that you're picking split cases, you're breaking the case up and then you're picking them up, so on. So now you can see the utilization of different, and now it's back to reserve again. So again, pick locations and so on. So now you can see that now they're shipping .com, brick and mortar, and then they have small store types and so on. So literally you can, if you needed to speed this up, you can create a table which has small store 1, and I can expand that, small store type 1, 2 and 3, and then you have .com and brick and mortar, and then you have West, and then you can do master. So you have West and East right here. You have dates, so you have November and December. You have auto numbers. So now you can get fancy with this and then figure out how many items you ship to which store type and when, and you can make a profile of your products. If you're shipping the same SKUs over and over again, now you can find out how many of those SKUs were shipped out to which store and so on. So you can get fancy, actually not to a store, but which side of the country were they shipped out from, and then you can get fancy in analysis. So I hope this helps. This was just a brief introduction to looking at the data and how to manipulate the data. Again, let me know if you have any questions in class, and I'll look forward to your submissions of resubmission of your CICME 1. Well, thank you, and hope you're having a nice day so far.